Sometimes it can be handy to find the date of a year that a particular date falls on in JavaScript. Let's figure out how this works. So first we'll create a new date and we'll creatively call that date, new date. Let's say we want to get Pi Day. So that's March 14th, 2024. And remember in JavaScript, the month notation is 0 base, so we have to subtract 1. So instead of the 3rd March, we go 2, and then we'll go 14. Cool. And just to make sure we're not numpties, we will console log that. Date. And hit F5, select, Node.js, that'll do. Debug. Run a debug. And get our JavaScript debug terminal up, and debug console is going to be here. And there we go. Cool, bananas. All right, so up the top here, we'll create our function. So it's going to be function get year day. And we just want to put in a JavaScript date as our parameter. Okay, let's put in some JS doc magic. And that's going to be a date. And we'll just say finds the day of the year of a selected date. Cool. So what we're going to do is convert this to a coordinated universal time, UTC. I always thought it was universal time constant. Wrong. But that's just my silly brain. But essentially what that does is convert this time into milliseconds since the epoch, which is the 1st of January, 1970. While that's stored in milliseconds, we can then subtract that from the last day of the previous year and then divide all that by a whole day in milliseconds. And that'll get us the number of days in the current year. So why UTC date? That'll allow us to handle for any daylight saving issues that come up. So let's go ahead and do it. So const date UTC is equal to date.utc. And in our date UTC here, constructor, we need a year, a month, and a day, and we don't need the seconds and minutes. So from this, we're going to draw the date.get full year. Then we want the date.get month. And then we want the date.get, now don't say day because it's the day of the week. So we want date instead. Yeah, tricky one. Okay, so that will convert it to UTC so we don't have any daylight saving issues here. Now we also need to get the last day of the previous year to subtract the date UTC from. So we'll say here const date year start, or probably end of last year, but this makes sense, UTC. And that's going to be equal to another one, so date.utc again. And then we'll say date.get full year. And what do we want here? So we're going to get the current year, and we'll say 0 for the 0th month, and then we'll say 0 for the 0th day. Now, unlike months, days start with 1. So if we use 0, it's going to get the day before. So we've got the current year and the current month being the 1st or the 0th month, and we go 0, that's going to be the previous month, which will be the 31st of the previous year. Cool. So now we need to subtract this date UTC from this date year start UTC, and then divide it by number of milliseconds in a day. So let's get our milliseconds all sorted out next. So we'll say const day milliseconds. There it is. And that's going to be equal to, so there's 24 hours in a day times 60 minutes in an hour times 60 seconds in a minute times 1000 milliseconds in a second. And then finally we will return date UTC minus date year start UTC, and that value will be then divided by the day in milliseconds. Hit save. Okay, so let's run this function underneath this console log here. So we'll just say console.log year day. That's going to be equal to our function name. So get year day with our date added into it. We'll hit save, and then we'll hit F5 to run that bad boy. So the 14th of March is the 74th day of the year. Cool. So we could use this approach to iterate through a number of days. One approach that comes to mind is getting the first day of the month for each year as a day of the year. So let's go ahead and quickly do that as a sample example. All right, so let's create a function that is get first month of year as a day. And we'll give the option of if the year is equal to false, then it'll be the current year. If the user adds in their own year, then we'll use their year, just to make it a bit more user-friendly. Let's add in some JSdoc. And our param is the year as a number, so it's going to be a number. And that's the year. Makes sense, we don't have to explain more about that. It's a target year, and gets the day of the year for the start of each month. Cool, cool, cool. And oh, it's going to return something, isn't it? So it's going to returns a array of numbers, right? Cool. And that'll return the day of year for each month. Cool. Okay, so now we can say if there is no year as an argument, then the year is going to equal a new date. So now basically, and then we'll say get full year. Cool. Otherwise, the user is going to put in a custom year as a number. Okay, so now we need a place to store all our custom first months of the year. So we could say let first in days of year. So first month of days in year is going to be equal to an empty array. And we'll say for, and we'll do a little loopy loop here. So let I equal 0, and I is going to be less than 12. Then we will I plus plus that bad boy. Oopsies, come back here. Create a constant variable, so that will be one that doesn't change within each iteration of the loop. So day of year is equal to get year day. So that's our get year day function we created earlier. And we need a month in here. So we'll say new date is going to be the year. And then the month is going to be each one we iterate through here. So this will be our first month, would be 0. Remember, months is 0 based in JavaScript date system. So I. And then our day is going to be the first of each month. Cool, cool, cool. And then once we get that day of the year, we want to put it in our first in days of year array. So we'll go first in days of year dot push day of year. There it is. Nice. Okay, let's give it a little cheeky test, eh? We'll get the current year first. So console.log. We'll say current year. Now, if we're using the current year, we don't have to use the optional param. Oh, I also noticed up here with our optional parameters, we need to put a square brackets around here to indicate it's optional. There we go. There, we're better behaved now, aren't we? Console.log. Let's run the script now. Array. That's going to be equal to our get first month of the year. Nothing. And we'll hit save. Oh, let's go up here for this console log and we'll just comment that out for now. Cool. And let's make 2 more examples here. Make sure we've got a leap year somewhere along the way, somewhere along the line. And that leap year is going to be this year. And that leap year will make it year is 2000. Year 2000. Array. Then we'll put in 2000. And then year we'll make here 2025, which is not a leap year, so it should be slightly off. And then 2025. Hit save. And let's hit F5 to run. Oh, undefined. And why is that? Because we forgot to return here the first day in the year. Okay, let's do our magic. Cool. So our first one is the current year, which is 2024. And then our next one you can see is year 2000. So it's got a similar series of dates. And then we've got the following year because we have a leap year in there for February. So the next one is one less after March. Cool, that's our end days of years for our sample example. In the next tutorial, we are going to convert this to a prototype for the date constructor. So hit that notification bell for when the next tutorial comes out. And if you've enjoyed this tutorial, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more tutorials like this, subscribe. Until next time.